Man, I gotta leave a little early today, so I gotta be done by like a quarter of. But I got some time, obviously. Um, I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker dealer and member of FINRA. All of my trades are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Out of my GDX short, everything else is the same. Sandisk I got out all of in that opening down move, and then I got back into a little bit at the end of the day, and I am keeping it because that thing is really hitting that day two on the upside in a major way. I know it's a very, very hard stock to be short, but I'm keeping a very. I'm not begging it either. Um, Oh man, I don't even know what to say about today. It's just this whole thing was just the biggest exercise in stupidity from last weekend through today's trading session. I really don't know what else to say about it. But the price action is crazy. The price action is moving, and we can take advantage of it for sure. And it creates some, especially some really good short-term trading opportunities. At the same time, you could have good positions on and then have a tape bomb hit that moves the market in the other direction of those good positions and cause you some pain even if you did a good job. But just a really, really wild one in terms of the movements intraday today. SPYs finished up 1.2%. Qs finished up 1.5%. IWM finished up 2%. TLT recovered to be up 0.8%. The dollar recovered to be up 0.25%. Gold was still up 1.4%. Silver was red though, so we noted that in the morning meeting today. Um, German finance minister on Trump Greenland deal. We have to wait a bit and not get our hopes up too soon. Greenland deal said to involve small pockets of land. So we noted pre-market this morning that it was like the first time in a while that we were really seeing gold outperform silver. Silver was up, I don't remember, less than 1%, and gold was up pretty big. So that was notable here. Maybe means that silver is getting a little bit tired and gold is rejuvenating itself as the pick your concern trade. Concerns on America, concerns on the dollar, concerns on treasuries, concerns on Trump, concerns on Greenland, concerns on reinflation, trade. So at the end of the day, we've got red, silver, and green gold, which is interesting. And crypto managed to recover. Nothing notable. Bitcoin's up 0.5%. Ethereum is up 0.75%. Still underperforming the market. Still underperforming gold, but I guess outperforming silver today. Popping over to the chart. 5-minute chart. Just nuts. Pre-market, I'm not going to bother pulling up the pre-market chart, but pre-market, we actually broke yesterday's low. And then Trump spoke at Davos and declared that there will be no hot war for Greenland, basically. And it caused the market to have what I thought was an extremely surprising rip higher. I can't believe that the market was pricing in a probability that we would go to war for Greenland with Denmark or whatever. Just nuts to me that we got this initial move. But we got this initial move, and we ripped higher on it. And then, we made this little like kind of king queenish type doji up here at highs, which I did call out a half-hearted short on it. I say half-hearted because I was getting smoked short in SOXL. My timing was off on it. I started very small too. But even starting small, I was shorting this SOXL. I already have a little bit as like a swing trade, but I started to really add as a day trade around 62. And by the time we got to above 64, I was definitely suffering in it. And I got bailed out, and I actually think I made a small amount of money on it. Definitely not enough for the headache and the risk, but I got bailed out into this down move. So you turn it back over the market. We did call this short out here. I called it out, again, half-heartedly because I just wasn't confident in my own trading at that point because I misread this market and misread the reaction on how Trump would be able to move the market simply by declaring that there would be no hot war. But this little short worked for a pullback. I mean, it's almost 11 a.m. at that point. Extension on the 5-minute, huge extension on the 15-minute for the spies and the Qs. Made sense for a pullback. It was just a matter of finding the signal, and this was that signal for that to happen. So we had a little bit of a pullback here. We're kind of digesting through price and time a little bit of the extension on the 15. And then we got a tape bomb that Denmark said that they do not agree to Trump's terms in terms of selling Greenland. And off of that, we got smoked all the way back down and broke the opening low. So, huge move higher that made no sense to me. And then, honestly, the move lower didn't make sense to me either, because it's like, of course they're not going to sell us Greenland. Like, I couldn't believe that the market was pricing in some of the stuff that it was pricing in. But I got bailed out on this down move, so I shall not be complaining about it. That's for sure, because I was in a tough spot with the trade that I put on that, got away from me a little bit. But we broke lows. We're doing nothing. And then at 2:25, Trump announced that we have a deal on Greenland. And then the market ripped from there all the way back up to new highs on the day, which is pretty incredible. Now, in theory, and I said this in the chat, in theory, we should be all the way back at 691, right? We should be back to where we started when this all unfolded, right? Last Friday, which seems like a lifetime ago, the market closed on Friday, and there wasn't any of the concerns that came out over the weekend. And then obviously Trump announced tariffs on all these Northern European countries. He texted the Prime Minister of Norway and said to him, because you guys didn't give me the Nobel Peace Prize, I'm no longer going to be a peaceful president. All that happened over the weekend. So now, in theory, if the Greenland situation is behind us, you would think that we'd be able to get all the way back up to 691. And maybe we are. Maybe we will. Maybe we're there tomorrow. Maybe we gap up there tomorrow. But at least for the moment, the market is giving us some downside premium here, saying that we don't know all the information yet. Again, the German finance minister commentary that just came out that I just read says that we have to wait and see a bit. Even Trump's commentary was, basically like, we'll see what the deal looks like down the road, for lack of a better term, because I don't remember exactly what he said. To me, the whole thing looks like I just don't even understand any of this, to be honest. It looks to me like we're going to end up in the almost exact same status quo that we were to begin with, which we already have access. We already have treaties in place where we can put all the troops that we want there. We can, Denmark and the United States are both part of Greenland. So if Russia or China were to attack Greenland, we're all going to war against Russia and China because it's part of NATO. So, I just don't think that any of this makes any sense. It seems like it's much ado about nothing. I don't really know what the purpose of any of this was, which is honestly the frustrating part. But, the market is still giving us some degree of downside premium unless we get back to 691, that there's still some details to get worked out, or things could still end up going poorly at a certain point. So we'll see. And the silver and gold market are kind of doing the same thing. Silver should be back down at 81 in theory, and it ticked to as low after that announcement as 82. It got close, but then they rallied this back up, and gold, they rallied back up as well. So there is still some degree of this trade that is ongoing, that is just the I don't really know what to describe it as, just the distrust in America trade, for lack of a better term, that seems to be helping to keep silver and gold as high as it is. So just a crazy day from a volatility perspective on the intraday basis. The daily chart, I don't think that much has changed. We did recapture our year lows, which is important. We are still kind of below the more minor support that we lost, which is around 687. So if yesterday, and I'm seeing silver continue to rally here, silver right now has almost fully retraced the down move that started on Trump's announcement of a Greenland deal. So if I was going to describe the S&P yesterday as neutral bearish, at today's close I would describe it as perfectly neutral. We're back above major support. We're below minor support. We're in the equilibrium area. We're in the middle of kind of a recent range here that encompasses the end of December and the beginning of January so far. So I'm looking at a neutral SPY that closed well, and I am looking at a neutral Qs that closed well, and I am looking at a massively bullish IWM still. Russell, new highs yesterday proven to be the pivot low into the equilibrium area that led to a new high in our uptrend. The Russell looks phenomenal. Semiconductors continue to be the biggest thing, in my opinion, that are holding up the NASDAQ. SMH is one thing. SOXX is even stronger than SMH. Just really strong there. I think that this SOXX includes more of the memory type names than SMH does. And SMH is very heavily weighted towards NVIDIA. NVIDIA, and I'm just going off memory, is the highest weighting in both of those ETFs, but I think for SMH it's like 18%, and for SOXX it's like 8%. So there is a pretty big difference there. And NVIDIA, which had a good day today, and it's back above 183, it continues to really be the big underperformer recently in the semiconductor space, which is interesting because it's the largest market cap weighting of those names. So it'll be interesting if NVIDIA ever to wake up, then watch out on the semiconductor space. With that said, I'm starting to think that a couple of these memory names are starting to maybe get a little long in the tooth in terms of their rally. Dare I say that? Micron was able to immediately get above the high of that shooting star that it put in today on increase in volume. But it's this SanDisk, and SanDisk could certainly give, I think, a very, very big day 3 still. But, we've been watching this SanDisk for a while, and there have been a couple instances of this thing really going parabolic, like particularly this one, November 7th through November 12th. But this move here, I think even just on a percentage basis, these last 2 days, is starting to outdo, I think, any of the previous parabolic moves that we have seen from SanDisk, and there have been a few. This is just getting absolutely bonkers here. Very, very dangerous name to be short. It's like 100% institutionally owned, not a name. I think it's a good general rule that if something is like 100% institutionally owned, it's just not a name that you want to be short. But with that said, I kept a little bit last night, which I fully covered in the first 5-minute bar today. I was completely out. And I got back into it a little bit, especially into the end of the day, and I am keeping a little bit of it as well. But this one is not for the faint of heart. It's a great way to lose money by being short this name, by being short something that is 100% institutionally owned. But I've got such a small amount right now that, if it wants to give one more big day up, I think we're getting close finally on this thing. And if it wants to give one more big day up, fine. My sizing is very small. It's that kind of piecing in style on it and doing it in a very conservative manner. I think that's all that I got. Intel was phenomenal today. We talked about the Intel breakout off 50 in the morning meeting today, so that was a really good one. AMD was phenomenal today as well. Give just great continuation. I mean, these semiconductors just are unstoppable, and it's what's holding the Qs up. Because look at Microsoft. The difference between Microsoft and the semiconductors I find to be weird at this point, because I don't really know what's causing this in Microsoft at this point, and Meta's been super weak also. It seems like the market is pricing in on some of these mega caps that the AI revenue is not going to justify the spend. But that should hurt the semiconductors as a knockoff effect too, because if the AI revenue doesn't justify the spend, then they're going to stop spending as much. Which means that these moves in this SMH aren't going to be able to hold without Microsoft and Meta continuing to buy. So it's just a little weird to me to see the degree of weakness in Microsoft and Meta versus the degree of strength that we're seeing in the semiconductors. because I would think that there's got to be some sort of, hey, if this is a big yellow flag here, warning signal for Microsoft and Meta with how they're trading, well, that should give a knockoff effect that they're going to cut back on their spending, and that would impact the semiconductors. But we'll see. That's all I got. Happy to answer any questions. Just want to read what Bill said here about what I just said. An opinion: there's no fear, just slushing around factors and narratives, but making room and index using Mag 7s for as funding shorts, allocation reductions to own everything else levered. Yeah, and it could, maybe it's just as simple as that. Maybe it's as simple as Mag 7 is just a funding mechanism for everything else. But I would still think that would impact SMH a little bit more. And maybe it is when you see the NVIDIA weakness, but it's just these other names in the space that just continue to boost higher. Yeah, AVGO, that's another one that's just been really weak. Look at that. AVGO just not participating, yet the semiconductor ETFs continue. All right, let me see what you guys have for me. Yeah, yeah, Intel. The Intel trade makes sense to me, but it's another one. Oh, and I guess there is TSM weakness. I was going to say Intel strength makes sense to me, especially if it's off the back of TSM weakness. And TSM's not in the SMH, I don't believe. But I think it's in the SOXX. I forgot the exact components on that. Second weakest. All right, from Dennis, that is correct. On SanDisk, it's the biggest relative extension from the ADMA. Also notable, it's by a bit the largest extension from the IPO AVWAP at 175. Thank you, Dennis. From Kevin, how do you avoid tilt when you give back big positive open P&L? The news environment combined with strange technicals is confusing me so much that I flattened almost all my swings during the reversal of the rally intraday. Thoughts on PLAB? All right, let me one thing at a time. How do I avoid tilt? I don't avoid tilt. I was on tilt multiple times today. First and foremost, when I was doing the morning meeting, which I'll throw another apology out there, and my internet dropped when we were doing the morning meeting, and I lost a bunch of my positions, and it was happening right as Donald Trump was speaking, and the market was moving, and it cost me a good handful of money. That quick internet, it was like one of those 20-second internet drops, but it was enough for me to lose my orders, have to figure out where they are, pump them back into the market. I'm also trying to do the morning meeting, which is a responsibility. And when I can't do it, it adds an extra layer of stress. I was completely on tilt. I was saying very, very loud curse words in the period of time when I was off the radio, when I was supposed to be doing the morning meeting, as I was pumping orders into the market. And then I was on tilt the second time today, probably stemming still from the first time. I've been in a bad mood all day when I was getting smoked in SOXL on top of it. So, you can do some things to help you not go on tilt. And I think that there's exercises that you can do, your journaling, your meditation, stuff like that can help with your psychology issues. I've always felt that understanding what your triggers are that get you on tilt helps you see them coming faster and helps you to be able to avoid them. But the bottom line is you can do all those things to improve, but you're never going to get perfect because you're a human. And as a human being, you have emotion. It's just a natural part of being a person. So I think it's less about avoiding going on tilt and more about not doing incorrect actions when you are on tilt. And the key to that is to have good game plans and follow them no matter what. Recognize that, hey, whatever just happened that has me very upset right now, but I've got these trades on. When I put the trade on, I wasn't on tilt. When I created a game plan for the trade, I wasn't on tilt. So believe in yourself, believe in the game plan that you created previously and continue to follow it regardless of how your feelings are. And that's what I did today both times when I was kind of losing my mind a little bit, when, you know, similar stuff was happening to me in some ways. So I do not agree with just flattening out your positions because, you know, you were getting a little bit on tilt because you gave back some open P&L. I don't agree with that. You have open positions that have game plans. Follow the game plan for the trade that you had on. I think that's the most important thing. The P&L matters, but it doesn't matter. P&L matters because that's why we're in the business, but it doesn't matter. What matters is process, and process creates P&L. So believe in the process, believe in yourself, believe in the game plans, and, you know, I don't want to say don't let it bother you because it will bother you, but like don't let it bother you that your P&L went from green to red or red to green or whatever it is. It's just a natural part of the process of the market moving with you having open risk and open positions and a game plan for any trades that you take, which, you know, obviously within your game plan, there was room for you to give back that positive P&L, right? And so you need to be comfortable with that because that was part of what your process was. So I hope that helps. Thoughts on Clab? This looks great. This looks great. Just broke out through 35, rounding up here. Could easily retest these previous highs. Varun, CrowdStrike. This just looks like dead money. Now, yeah, software names. There might be an RDR here in this now at some point soon. I think there was news in this yesterday or today, so I'm actually surprised that it hasn't bounced back. But I think that you could look for now for a bounce back trade. And generally, software has been super weak, right? Maybe that's impacting Microsoft to some degree also. Yeah, so Vincent said, I find that I trade too much when I go on tilt. So that's different, right? And that circles back to what I said before about you can't be putting these trades on tilt. You can't be revenge trading because then that's not setting you up for a good trade. The trades that you're already in, you should follow the game plan for. But when you're in that situation, I do think that you want to avoid, you know, over trading and putting too much stuff on, having the mental attitude of I got to make it back, I got to get back to my P&L highs. That all sets you up for failure. What else, guys? I do got to go a little bit early, but I still have a couple of minutes. Micron. Yeah, we looked at Micron already. Volume's increasing. It's getting extended. The fact that it was able to get above this tail high from yesterday today is actually very bullish. So this might not quite be ready yet, but I think that these names are starting to get close. With that said, it just broke out of this bull wedge. The technical continuation of this bull wedge would be like 40, 43 bucks. Where are we? We're there, actually. I'm just doing it, you know, very roughly, but like 393 would be the technical continuation pattern of the break of this bull wedge. So, you know, maybe we begin to find some resistance as we get into this like day 4 tomorrow, and this thing is in that, you know, 393 zone. Restoration Hardware. Yeah, I don't really follow the name too much. Pretty strong today. I don't know what to attribute that to. Visa and MasterCard. Wow, they had huge. What? Is that real? No, it's a false print. I was like, what did I miss? I've been staying away from them. I think these are sloppy charts. All right, guys. Looks like I got through it. I'll wrap it up there. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow.